to the north side of Pier 3, large gray government shipping store there is named the Cape May. Function of the Cape May is to transport cargo barges. The barges are pushed in the rear of the ship by tugboats and are lifted out of the water on an elevator. The ship's operated for government by MARAD. Now ahead of us to our right, the highlight of our tour is Naval Station Norfolk, the largest military station in the world. This base is located on a point of land in a Soles Point. It covers an area of 3,400 acres. The base is home to a variety of naval warships, submarines, as well as aircraft you may see and hear flying over us today. Air operations at Naval Station Norfolk conduct an average of 275 flights per day. It's a flight about every 8 minutes, well over 100,000 flights per year. First ship that I'll point out at the naval base today is on the south side of Pier 1. That's ship number 5, which is the USNS Robert E. Perry. The Robert E. Perry is a Lewis and Clark class supply ship. The type of ship carries a lot of dry goods, liquid goods, refrigerated foods, ammunition, and a small amount of petroleum products. It's kind of like a floating super Walmart for the Navy. It's operated for the Navy by a civilian cruise, the Military Sea Lift Command. That is indicated to us by seeing the blue and gold bandings that are painted around the smokestack on that ship. We'll see another ship now coming into view. It's kind of tucked inshore to our right before Pier 1 of the naval base. It's docked at what is called the South Wall. That small ship far inshore to our right is number 59, which is the USS Kaufman. The Kaufman is an Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigate. Perry-class frigates are small but versatile warships. Their functions include anti-submarine warfare, escort operations, and drug interdiction. Perry-class frigates are the smallest warships we typically see on the tour, only 445 feet long, 45 feet wide, and have a crew just over 200. Many of the ships of that class have already been decommissioned, and some of them sold to foreign navies. Now back to Pier 1 of the naval base, there are two ships at the north side of Pier 1. Those are both Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. To the left of ship number 5 is number 79, the USS Oscar Austin. And there's also one of her sister ships up in the corner on the north side of the pier that we can't see the name or number on that one at this time because the larger ships blocking the view. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers are the newest of the two classes of ships in the Navy equipped with Aegis. I think we're going to wait and go into more detail, though, about their sister ships that we should see ahead of us and will offer a better view. These particular ships don't offer that great of a view today. Now, ahead of us to our right, Pier 2. On the south side of Pier 2, there are two ships. The one behind, number 46, is the Ticonderoga-class Aegis guided missile cruiser. It's number 56, USS San Jacinto. Opposite of her on the north side of the pier, we'll also see one of her sister ships. I believe will be number 61, the USS Monterey, though we can't see it just yet. The Ticonderoga-class cruisers were the first of the two classes of ships in the Navy to come online with Aegis. As we're moving along, if you look up on the superstructure on that ship behind number 46, you'll notice there are angled sides on the superstructure. On the angled sides are a large gray plate shaped almost like stop signs. The plates are painted a little bit lighter shade of gray than the rest of the ship. It's really phased array of radar plates for the Aegis weapon system. There's a total of 4 of these stationary plates around the superstructure on an Aegis-equipped ship. The plates are used to emit a constant pulsing signal that is sent out and received simultaneously, and has the ability of tracking over 200 targets all at the same time. The system is so small and sensitive it can even determine if the target is distracting or a friendly or hostile target. Once the system is deemed the target to be hostile, it will automatically select and can fire the appropriate weapon needed to destroy the incoming target. Weapons aboard the ship are quite impressive. On the bow and stern decks are fully automatic 5-inch 54 caliber deck guns that fire up to 20 rounds per minute, have an effective range of 13.5 nautical miles. Missiles typically found on board these ships include the Tomahawk cruise missiles, used primarily as a long-range land attack missile. The Harpoon anti-ship missile, used for anti-ship warfare, can take out an enemy surface ship well over the horizon. Also on board are standard surface-to-air missiles that are used to knock down airborne threats. Most of the missiles on board this class of ship are stored and launched from below the main decks from what is called the vertical launch system, otherwise known as VLS for short. There are 122 vertical missile cells below the decks on this ship, and the ability to launch a missile out of the VLS system, 1 missile every second is needed. Ticonderoga-class cruisers are 567 feet long, 55 feet wide, with a crew of 385. They were expensive ships to build and price tags of just under $1 billion apiece. We'll have a better view of their sister ships on the north side of the pier in just a second. Number 46 to our right is the USS Tortuga. The Tortuga is a Whidbey Island class LSD, identical to number 44 and number 50 that we saw earlier in the cruise today. Again, this one's visiting here. It's actually based at the Little Creek Amphibious Base. And again, we'll have a little better view of a Ticonderoga class cruiser on the north side of Pier 2 over to our right. The barge that's kind of blocking the view of the ship right now is a barracks barge. They might be doing some sort of work on one of the ships over to our right. There's Pier 3. You won't see any ships at Pier 3 because that is the submarine pier. There's one sub into the pier today. It's on the north side of the pier, which has just come into view. The sub is tucked far inshore to our right at the base of the pier. The sub is black in color. That is a Los Angeles class fast attack sub. Function of a fast attack sub is to seek out and destroy the enemy sub and also strike land-based threats from hundreds of miles away. The sub is equipped with 4 torpedo tubes used to launch the Mark 48 torpedo. A Mark 48 is a heavyweight wire-guided torpedo that can deliver a 650-pound high-explosive warhead to a target of up to 23 nautical miles. Also on board the sub are Tomahawk cruise missiles. Tomahawks used primarily as a long-range land attack missile that can be tipped with either a nuclear or a conventional warhead. That's equal to about on the south side of Pier 5 is a pretty good view of an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. In fact, that will be the newest of the class that we'll see on the tour at this time. That is number 109, which is the USS Jason Dunham. Her stern is facing in our direction right now. She is the newest Arleigh Burke that we see here at the naval base. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers are the newest of the 2 classes of ships in the Navy equipped with Aegis. The ship is quite similar to the Ticonderoga-class cruisers that we saw a minute ago back at Pier 2. Similar as far as the radar and weapon systems are concerned. Though the newest Arleigh Burkes have some upgraded weapons. On the bow of that ship is an upgraded 5-inch 62 caliber deck gun. It can fire a conventional round up to 18 nautical miles. And you would find a total of 96 vertical missile sounds below the decks on the new Arleigh Burkes. The original style ships of the class had 90, but the new ones had 96. That is a very expensive, state-of-the-art warship. It has a price tag of just under $2 billion. That price tag makes the new Arleigh Burke-class destroyers the second most expensive surface warships, second only in cost to the aircraft carriers. On the north side of Pier 5, ship number 24 is USS Arlington. Arlington is the newest of the Navy's San Antonio-class LPDs that we'll see on the tour. She's identical to the 19, the Mesa Verde that we saw earlier. You'll notice there are 2 unusual-looking structures on top of number 24. Those are called advanced enclosed mast systems. A lot of the communications and radar equipment for the ship have been housed in the interior of the mast. That'll help protect the sensitive equipment from the elements. The large angled sides on the mast also offer stealthing effects for the ship. We won't see any ships in at Pier 6 today. A little ahead of us to our right, Pier 7. Docked up on the north side of Pier 7 is a rather large and quite versatile ship. LHD number 1 is the USS Wasp. She's the lead ship of the class constructed. Function of that ship is to land a tremendous amount of Marines and equipment onto a hostile beach during an amphibious assault. To accomplish its mission, the ship carries between 35 to 40 helicopters used to shuttle Marines and equipment to and from a hostile beach. The ship also accommodates Harrier jump jets, Harriers and fixed-wing aircraft that have the ability to land and take off vertically, not requiring a traditional runway system. Harriers used to provide tactical air support while the Marines are going ashore. The ship also carries a variety of small boats, landing craft, and hovercraft that are stored inside the ship in an area called the well deck. To allow the smaller boats to travel in and out of the ship, they open a large door in the back of the ship called a stern gate. It's kind of like a tailgate on a pickup truck. Once they've opened up the stern gate, it will then intentionally sink the rear of the ship down to the water somewhat, done by flooding ballast tanks in the rear of the ship with seawater. Once the tanks are full of seawater, the rear of the ship becomes quite heavy. That's what causes it to sink down. Then seawater floods in the well deck area, enough to float the small boats, which allows them to drive in and out of the ship. Number 1, USS Wasp, is 844 feet long, 106 feet wide, has a crew of 1,292, and the ability to carry up to 1,877 Marines. The ship also has extensive medical capabilities. They're able to convert the inside of that ship into a 600-bed hospital. Hospital on board the ship would include a 21-bed intensive care unit, 21-bed trauma unit, and 6 operating rooms. Next pier coming up on our right will be Pier 8. That is the supply pier of the naval base. On the south side of Pier 8 is ship number 6, which is the USNS Supply. She was the first of the Supply class fleet boilers that were constructed. Boilers are used to refuel naval warships while traveling alongside of them while out at sea. That one particular boiler can carry up to 170,000 barrels of petroleum products. 1 barrel equals 42 gallons. If that ship were full of gasoline, it would have the ability to refuel an average-sized family car almost 400,000 times. She's owned by the Navy and operated for the Navy by the Military Sea Lift Command, again indicated by the blue and gold bandings around the stack on the ship. Boilers like the supply to our right can actually refuel 2 ships at the same time. It's done while all 3 ships would move through the water at speeds of about 15 to 18 knots. They will have about 150 to 200 feet of spacing between each ship. They match their course and speed. Then they extend a series of cables and then hoses to the ships needing the fuel. It's a rather dangerous method of replenishing ships, but it is quite efficient. Again, that's called underway replenishment. Now, we won't see any ships at Piers 9 or 10 at this time. These 2 piers have been undergoing some renovations and repairs. We also briefly saw one of her sister ships earlier in the cruise, the ship that we saw in the dry dock, Titan. Over at BAE Systems was LHD number 5, the USS Batons. We've seen 3 of the Wasp-class LHDs on the tour today. Now, beyond Pier 11 are Piers 12 and 14, which are the aircraft carrier piers. You just noticed the Navy did skip the number 13 when numbering the piers in the base. We weren't expecting to see a carrier out here. I don't believe they had one out here yesterday, but it looks like one has been moved here since sometime yesterday afternoon. So ahead of us to our right, we'll see aircraft carrier number 69, the USS Dwight David Eisenhower. The Eisenhower is a Nimitz-class, nuclear-powered super aircraft carrier. The term supercarrier identifies any aircraft carrier with a length of over 1,000 feet. The actual length of the Eisenhower is 1,092 feet. Widest point of that ship's on its flight deck at 252 feet wide. A lot of action takes place in the flight deck of an aircraft carrier. In fact, being a crew member on the flight deck is actually rated in the top 5 most deadly jobs in the world. When the Eisenhower is out at sea, she'll carry an average of 85 aircraft on board, but can carry up to 110 aircraft depending on the type and size of the aircraft. Assisting airplanes in taking off from the ship and into the air, there are 4 steam-powered catapults that will launch airplanes at speeds of up to 165 miles per hour. When aircraft are not in use or need repair, they can be taken out of the hangar deck, which is just below the flight deck. Moving the aircraft between the 2 decks of the ship are 4 large flight elevators. And with the ship's crew and airmen aboard, you can expect to find about 6,000 personnel aboard the Eisenhower when she's out at sea. The Eisenhower is powered by 2 large nuclear reactors that provide steam for 4 turbines, creating a total of 280,000 shaft horsepower. It'll move that ship through the water at speeds in excess of 50 miles per hour.
For 40 years.
Kind of hard to imagine a ship that size moving through the water at highway speeds. Something else that's just as hard to imagine is how much it may cost. Well, the Nimitz-class carriers like the Eisenhower, a total of 10 of them in service in the U.S. Navy, they average at about $5 billion apiece. That makes them the most expensive warships in the United States Navy.
Hey,
the most expensive ships in the entire world, for that matter. We will move forward in just a minute and pass the ship so you get a good view of both sides of her. But there's a couple of other things that have come into view over to our right since we started talking about the carrier. Directly to our right at Pier 12, on the south side of Pier 12, you get a good view of a Los Angeles-class fast attack submarine. Better view than the sub we saw earlier at Pier 3. She is identical. Again, it's a Los Angeles-class fast attack sub. And on the north side of Pier 12, directly to our right, ship number 17, the USS San Antonio. She was the first of the San Antonio-class LPDs constructed, identical to number 19 and 24 that we've seen in the cruise today. Again, at this time, we will move forward so you get a good view of the other side of the Eisenhower. It's nice to have a carrier out here today. We haven't had one out here in about a week or two.
Complètement relevé.
Now, as we pass the aircraft carrier piers, if you look ahead of us and off to our right, past the Rock Jetty, you'll see the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, which is part of Interstate 64. The 3.5-mile-long bridge and tunnel connects Norfolk to Hampton. On around the corner quite a ways, past the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, is the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, one of the 7 man-made wonders of the world. Unfortunately, we're not able to see that from this distance. The land ahead of us off in the distance, that's the city of Hampton. If we were to continue toward Hampton, then bear around to the right, we'll soon enter the Chesapeake Bay.
Wow.
Chesapeake Bay is the largest estuary in the United States and has a surface area of about 2,500 square miles. The Chesapeake Bay is almost 12,000 miles of shoreline and holds more than 18 trillion gallons of water. Though the bay is large, it's not exactly deep. The average depth of the Chesapeake Bay is only 21 feet. The bay supports more than 3,600 species of plants, fish, and animals and produces about 500 million pounds of seafood every year. In just a minute, we'll turn around and head back inbound. As we're turning around, put some music on, could listen to on the ride back in. I'd like to remind everyone that the restrooms in the ship store are located in the cabin. The ship store offers a variety of snacks and beverages and souvenirs. Being it is a lunch hour, I remind everyone we do have Nathan's hot dogs, hot sauce, super pretzels, and adult beverages all available in the ship store. If anyone has any questions about anything you've seen or heard throughout the cruise, certainly feel free to ask the crew. We hope you've enjoyed this portion of the cruise, and we'll enjoy the rest back end this afternoon here at Rover.